In today's video, we're going to be talking about what it actually costs to live in Tallahassee, Florida. Go Knowles. So what we're going to be addressing in this video is really what it takes to actually own a home and what those projected payments are going to look like. So what we want to do first is talk about what is the median price, like what does a home actually cost in Tallahassee? So as of July 2025, the median home sales price for a single family home in Tallahassee is about $290,000. Which is phenomenal, right? I mean, a single family home under 300, sign me up. So for the purposes of today's payment, we're gonna be looking at that price on an FHA loan with 3.5% down. Now, so basically the way this is gonna work is if you take your $290,000 and you put your 3.5% down, then you're gonna be looking at a base loan amount of about $279,850. Okay? Gotta love that 850 area code, right? Now, we're gonna take today roughly to where interest rates are today, and that's gonna be roughly about 6%. So 6%, okay? Now, if you take your loan amount of $279,850 at a 6% rate, that's gonna give us a principal and interest payment of approximately $1,677.84. Now, with an FHA loan, you're gonna have to pay what's called private mortgage insurance. We're gonna have to pay PMI. Now, little thing about PMI, most people know what it is, some people don't. I'll give you the definition. What private mortgage insurance is, it's an insurance policy that lenders make you take out that protects the lender in the event you go into foreclosure. Basically, it's an insurance policy for the lender to get paid back some of the money that we loaned you in the first place, okay? Now, with FHA, you have to pay two different types of mortgage insurances. One is you have to pay an upfront mortgage insurance premium. Now, upfront mortgage insurance premium, that is a set calculated rate by the Department of HUD. They set the rate and there's no fluctuation, there's no flexibility. It's the same for every borrower. The upfront portion is 1.75% of your loan amount. Now, this can be financed back into your loan if you wish, or you can pay it out of pocket if you would like. The choice is yours. Now, for the monthly private mortgage insurance, your monthly PMI is going to be calculated based on a 0.55% of your loan amount on an annual basis divided by 12. So if we take your loan amount of $279,850 times 0.0055, that gives us $1,539.17 a year. Divide that number by 12, and now we're looking at an estimated payment of $128.26 a month. Now, that's just inclusive of the mortgage and the PMI. However, we want to talk about how property taxes work, and we want to talk about homeowners insurance, okay? Now, living in Leon County, living in Tallahassee, you can expect to pay somewhere between $2,500 to maybe $4,000 in property taxes per year. So, for the basis of this video and this estimated payment, and just to kind of keep the math simple, we're going to use an estimate of $3,000 a year for property taxes. And if you take that number and divide that by 12, you get an estimate of $250 a month for taxes. Okay? Now, let's talk homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance for Floridians, comparatively speaking, is on the lower side in Tallahassee than, let's say, a Fort Lauderdale market or a Miami market or a Naples market, right? So from an insurance standpoint, depending on when the house was built and what the house has, I would say you can expect to pay anywhere between $900 to maybe $1,800 a year in insurance, okay? Comparatively speaking, I did another video on Miami. Miami's, you're looking at about $4,000 to $6,000 a year. So for the purposes of this, we're gonna use about $1,200 a year, which is about $100 a month, okay? Now, with the exception of probably a few parts, most of the Tallahassee, by and large, is outside of a flood zone. Now, if you are in a flood zone, you will be mandated to carry flood insurance. However, if you're not in a flood zone, you won't be mandated to carry it. However, if your house sits at the bottom of a hill, or, we have a lot of hills in Tallahassee, if your house sits at the bottom of the hill, and we all know, sitting at the bottom of the hill, the rainwater all runs downhill, or if your house is, if you have a sloped driveway type kind of thing, it may be something you want to look at. But if it's not required, you don't have to purchase it. From what I've seen in Tallahassee, flood insurance probably costs you around $600 to $1,000 a year, okay? However, For the purposes of this video, I'm going to leave it out, but when I talk about payment ranges, we'll have a conversation about that. So if you take all of these numbers here on the whiteboard into consideration, you're looking at $1,677.84 plus $128.26 plus $250 for property taxes plus $100 for insurance. So on a house at $290,000, you can expect to pay roughly about $2,156.10 per month. The one thing we didn't talk about is, and I'll write it over here, we didn't talk about HOA dues. Now, the good news is there's a lot of places in Tallahassee that just don't have an HOA. So if the house that you're looking for isn't an HOA, it's going to be important to understand what those monthly dues are and what it covers. For the purposes of the video, I'm going to leave out the HOA dues. So when somebody's asking me, hey, Shannon, what am I realistically looking at as far as monthly payments on a home at $290? I'm going to tell you that you're going to be probably somewhere between $2,100 and maybe $2,300 a month. Okay. Now it's important to give that range because outside of the principal and interest payment and outside of really the kind of the PMI, because it's an FHA loan, we don't control anything else about your payment. Your homeowner's insurance is going to be completely dependent on what the house has. The property taxes will be based on the current home's taxes. However, they will adjust. I'm actually going to be doing another video on how that works later on. But the good news is that if you have any questions about what your property taxes are going to go to, Leon County, on the Leon County Property Appraiser's website, they have a tax estimator, and you can actually calculate what your proposed taxes are going to be once you purchase your home. So I would encourage you to check that out. However, I'm telling people that your payments are going to be somewhere between $2,100 and $2,200 a month. If you set yourself up for a range of payments when you're out looking, then you're going to set yourself up for some massive success when it comes to your home buying process. If you have any questions on how this works, how this goes, what kind of ranges to look for, how property taxes work, give me a call. I'm at 954-369-6171. Again, I'm at 954-369-6171. Be more than happy to do a consultation, show you how all this stuff works, set payments for you, all that kind of stuff. Let's get you in, let's get you going, and let's have a conversation. Thank you so much for your time, and go Knowles.